Welcome to All Four Downs podcast presented by CMG Sports. I'm Obi-Wan with Hec the V. Joe couldn't join us at this moment in time because he's taking care of personal reasons. And Joe, if you hear me, best of luck to you, my boy. Can't wait to see you and hear from you next week.
Yes, sir.
But this is a combination of the NFL and college football. We're gearing to the playoffs depending on the circumstances that's happening currently in the NFL. But technically, this weekend is supposed to be the last game of the regular season, and then jump on into the playoffs. But we're gonna make some predictions on what could possibly happen if all the games were played, and find out because of our predictions for Week 18. We're gonna be covering the my scenario in the playoffs. Hector will have his, and then we're going to end it with the prediction on the college football national championship between Georgia versus TCU. So, hey, we're open up here on first down right now, and no really updated news except for what you would call it. Hamlin is slightly improving. There's signs of improvement according to the family as they were, interviewed live on almost every type of media. But he's still listed in critical condition, and everyone's waiting. Everybody's still numb on the situation that happened on Monday Night Football. Once again, our deepest prayers go out to him, his family, everyone affected, and we're hoping that he gets a safe recovery. But with that in mind, let me ask you this: should this game be made up, or should we just cancel it and move on forward to the playoffs? What do you think, Hector?
I mean, I'm not trying to sound selfish. I mean, we all have our reasonings. We all have our way of thinking. I feel like the game should be played. Um, we did mention the fact that there is a weekend where they have the All Star, the Pro Bowl, whatever you want to call it. I was never a fan of that. So there's room right there. We can make this game up to properly see the teams as we see fit, and going into the end of the season here, you know. So I believe that we should play the game.
I feel you. I mean, we come from a military background and stuff like that, to where we've seen a lot of stuff through our years being in. But this was a little bit different because, yeah, when do we separate sports to reality and everything else? Um, I'm with you for the fact that they should play. I still feel like if they remove that Pro Bowl week and shift everything down 1 week, I think it would be best. I think that's enough time. But at the same time, we don't really know the condition, uh, on what's going on with that player, right? And it
Hmm.
could go either way, and we're hoping for the best, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But we're going to talk more about that in my final words and my final whistle and stuff like that. And once again, we're sponsored by CMG Sports. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're covering the our predictions for the NFL playoffs, and once again, the Bowl Mania Challenge. I happen to already clinch victoriously, so thank myself. Yes, thank you. Pat in the back. Yes, thank you. I
Are we?
saved money. I saved
Yeah,
money on this.
I see that you got lucky this time. You sure did.
Luck is not the key. It's me having the skills covering college football. All right.
Mhm.
You might as well make me a senior analyst because I just got this. All right. I got this.
Yeah.
But
Just remember, you barely beat out somebody who doesn't do as much as you do on your
uh,
podcast or anything else on any
listen,
other kind
you
of
are
level.
following your Notre Dame. Okay. You follow college football. Don't even say nothing.
But I
All
don't
right.
follow it
You've
like you
been
do.
you've
I
been
don't
on the
cover it
shows
like you do.
before.
But I'm not a regular, okay?
You are right.
I
Stop
am
it.
not Joe, okay? So you know.
Look, Joe is on another level. Okay,
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
I scratch my head and be like, "Are you sure you want to pick that team?" I mean,
If
it's like he's picking like middle school, like this ain't a Pop Warner versus Alabama, like you going for Pop Warner. What?
who's got the best vacation spots in the summertime? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Give him props for the fact that he doing these shows. He started to favor that he's an Alabama fan. All right,
Mm,
go to college is really Syracuse. Um, but like for myself, I will support the Yukon Huskies. I'll support Army. You know,
mhm.
but my career started in Georgia. I'll give it up to the Georgia Bulldogs. I had a buddy of mine, rest in peace, that died out there in Iraq during Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he was a big Georgia fan. I mean, he had plates in his vehicle of Georgia everything. Athens this, Athens that. So, um, anyways, uh, fan of the Bulldogs. And yeah, we went through so many years of punishment because we couldn't beat Alabama. We couldn't like beat those real games. So, but
I,
they got their chance to make history because it's been a long time since Georgia, so any team won back to back.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I understand the pain, even being a Notre Dame fan. We can't beat Alabama, not even a national championship game. Good
Dude,
Lord.
you guys go to the playoffs and just stank it up. Like
That's it.
y'all been playing like y'all some little league or something.
That's why you give us a lesser bowl like we got this year, the Gator Bowl, and we won. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations, by the way.
hey, and matter of fact, you and I were the only ones that picked, I believe, Notre Dame. So
Absolutely.
you was on my side. I appreciate that.
I gotta respect Notre Dame because the way they started the season all the way to the end. I mean, they were 0 for 3, and then they started winning a little by little, and then finally they got that rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes time. You
It
got a
does.
brand new coach. So it was
Yeah.
expected. Everyone had anticipated, oh, we're going back to the playoffs.
Mm.
It's not always,
Ovi.
it doesn't work that way all the time.
I did not want us in the playoffs. I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs. Even if it was the 12-team playoffs, we were still not in the playoffs. And I
Mm.
was happy with that. We need to rebuild before we get
Oh
back to that
man.
level.
But more on that, more on
Mhm.
that. But once again, I'm the champ.
Yes, you are.
All right,
Yes, you are. Congratulations.
I'm the champ. Thank you very much.
Mm.
I can't say so for the regular season in NFL, so I'm gonna pass the torch to you. There we go. You are the champion regular season. Congratulations to you on your NFL picks.
And I just go back to saying this. We've known each other for 20 plus years. We know each other so well that hey, if I'm going to lose to anybody, I'd rather lose to you because I know I lost to a worthy person who knows his stuff, not somebody who just got lucky off the streets by picking A, B, or C. I'd rather lose to somebody who knows what they're talking about, can back it up with great debates and arguments, and and someone I can call a brother. You know what I'm saying? So I
I
have no
appreciate that.
I have no shame in my game to say that hey, I can lose. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. And so hey, it's just one of those things. I think last year was reversed because you got me in the NFL and I got you in the college, and
I
then
know how's that work? Really, you're like the expert in the NFL here.
yeah, and
Um,
you're the subject matter expert with the college.
mm,
That's why I say it's like we got it
mm.
right this year. We fixed it this year.
Yeah, we definitely did. All right. So hey, let's go ahead and look at my charts. Ready?
All right,
Uh Technically this is supposed to be first down, but I want you to look at my playoff predictions here. Now, you shared with me yours already, setting
right,
up this, but I didn't share you mine. So this is what my playoff picture looks like.
right.
Starting with the wild card. And start with the AFC. I have Buffalo versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why? Because if I'm looking at the week 18 games, if the
Hmm.
Bills were to play, I predict that they will beat the Patriots. I think they will treat that as a playoff because the biggest mistake that you can do, and we've seen this history time and time again, is that if you go light on an opponent and allow them to enter the playoffs, they could do a lot of damage.
Right.
Okay. So I do predict that the Bills can handle the Patriots, get them a loss, especially being at Buffalo, and take care of business there. That's why I say they're out. And then as far as the Miami Dolphins, I mean, they got to find themselves an actual quarterback that can actually play. All right. I don't think that they got what it takes to beat the Jets. I think the Jets are a better team right now. well built and don't have any flaws right now, any injuries that could prevent them from playing a complete game. And that's why I say, the Jets could surprise everybody, finish 8-9, and eliminate the Dolphins, which allows the Steelers, okay, the Steelers to continue with that winning season for Mike Tomlin. Okay. 16 years, if I'm not mistaken, in the NFL has
Yeah.
never had a losing season.
No, he hasn't. And that's what's amazing, that it looked like that was what was going to happen this year, And
Trubisky is the one, bro. I mean, he was suspect. Yeah, I don't even know why they got that guy in that team. Like, dude
suspect. Good.
came in the game after Pickett and he threw 3 interceptions. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Are you serious?
I don't
I'm
know.
like, yo, give the. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I could go on and talk about that guy, and it's the same thing he did with the Bears. So it's like, okay, it was really you because you're at a good system with one of the best coaches in the NFL, and you're playing worse than what you did with the Bears.
Hmm. I hear
So
you. But yeah, he found a way of turning it around. I think what that big turnaround was when they beat the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that right there told me that they turned around, and then it just made it even worse when they went ahead and beat Baltimore. I know you had picked the Steelers in that game. I picked the Ravens,
right,
and it was a last minute thing, and they went downfield. I was like, now Tomlin's know what he's doing. Yeah, I give
yeah.
him props.
And you know what? I'm a believer, and I think that this team is going to be prepared next year. And I'm gonna tell you right now, my prediction out for that division. Watch out for the Steelers. I think they're going
Right.
to be dangerous next year. Moving on to Kansas City versus the Baltimore Ravens because they already clinched. Should the scenario play out? Because again, the Chiefs lost to the Bills and the Bengals, and I'm already predicting that the Chiefs won't play out hard against the Raiders, and the Raiders will win at home.
Mm.
All right, because that's where they're playing in Las Vegas. So the Raiders beat the Chiefs the last game of the season. All right, because the Chiefs are not playing that, they're not playing hard,
Right.
right? And they got a backup quarterback, Stinham, who's going to prove that he is one of the best and he understands that offense under his head coach. Okay, because they came from New England.
Yeah.
Then the Jaguars versus the Chargers. Okay, Jaguars outright beats the Titans, clinched that division. Props, and it's like a stab to the heart to Urban Myers because he could have done this if he would
Right.
have coached instead of trying to be a bully and going to bars and get that special lap dances. Okay, then how everything breaks down, the Bengals will play the Chargers, the Bills, and the Chiefs, which is going to be my favorite. And then the Bengals and the Chiefs will play each other, and the Bengals, because they have the formula, they have the answer on how to beat the Chiefs, will again win by a field goal and advance to the Super Bowl for the second straight year. On the
Okay.
other side, San Francisco, the number one seed. Then I have the Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers, the Giants versus the Vikings. I got to flip that because that's my error. The Giants are number 6, the Vikings are number 3, and then the Bucks and the Eagles in 4 and 5. I think, did I screw that up? Yes. No, I did not. No, I did not, because I feel like the Eagles are going to lose again if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. Okay, I don't trust Minshew. I didn't trust him. He showed his colors when he was with Jaguars, and he's been bounced around. That dude can't. He cannot lead this team to victory. Okay. The Bucks already clinched. The Vikings are already there. If I'm not mistaken, the Vikings will beat the Bears, but that's not going to do no good because San Francisco has a better conference record. All right. Therefore, the Cowboys, they will win and beat the Commanders, and the
Mhm.
Giants will beat the Eagles on last week. And that's why I said what I said, right? Moving on forward, I got the San Francisco 49ers versus the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers will upset the Cowboys because it's history that every time the Cowboys go to the playoffs, they find their way to beat themselves. Okay. I feel like there's an upset with the Giants over the Vikings. And then I got the Eagles and the Bucks. So all the underdogs, all the high seeds will actually win that wild card. Moving forward, I got San Francisco versus the Eagles in the NFC Championship, with San Francisco defeating the Bengals in the Super Bowl, and they become the champions. And the reason why I picked the 49ers, I think that during the middle of the season, they did right by acquiring a true running back from the Carolina Panthers. Okay. They built that system, and that defense is so fast. That secondary is dangerous. So, this is the reason why I said that defense is going to carry this team. And Mr. Irrelevant, history in the making, my friend. History in the making. This team is solid and ready to win.
Hey, and that I like that because you're talking about 49ers and Bengals playing for a third time in history. It almost
That's
happened
right.
last. It almost happened
Joe,
last year.
Joe Montana put the no,
Hmm.
actually that was a competitive game.
Well, the first time, yeah.
Right.
I think both of them. Yeah. Either way,
Yeah.
yeah.
You got Boomer that was the quarterback for the Bengals against Joe Montana. So like it brings me back memories in the 80s how the 49ers dominated during that time as well.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, we'll move on to second down and and let me know here are your picks. What you got here? What you got going on?
Oh, I got a cool little yellow bracket. That's nice. I like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Here, let me zoom it in even more.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
because I need my glasses here. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? But yeah,
right.
we start all the way on that side where you got Kansas City versus New England. I think New England to me was going to get in. Looking at how things were going to play out in the last week of the season. I know you have Pittsburgh, but I think New England would have squeezed in there because they owned a head-to-head against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think they would have found a way of beating Buffalo in this game. I know that sounds kind of crazy because you see how I have Buffalo winning it all, but I think New England would have won that game and got themselves into the playoffs. I got Cincinnati playing Baltimore, a rematch right there. These two teams have a lot of history with each other, obviously, same division. Um, and then you go down there, I got Jacksonville and the LA Chargers playing each other for a second time this year. Okay, this bit was a rematch also from the regular season. Um, Kansas City being the number 2 team, I think they would have had no issues with New England in the first round of the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes and the onslaught of weapons that he's got would have taken care of New England with no problem without putting them into the second round. I think Cincinnati, with that great rivalry with Baltimore, would have had a great game. But Joe Burrow would have showed up, showed out, and take his team into the second round, facing Kansas City for a fourth time between the Burrow Mahomes era. Buffalo having the number 1 seed, I had them locking that up all the way home. So I say that they would have faced the Chargers in the second round because the Chargers would have avenged their loss against the Jaguars earlier this year and went on to the second round against Buffalo. But Buffalo's defense is just too much, and you got Bills Mafia going on there, and with everything else that's going on, I think Buffalo's revved up, ready. They would have taken the lightning bolts and send them back to LA with no problem. The Kansas City Cincinnati situation there, I think that would have been Patrick Mahomes getting over the hump, finally beating Joe Burrow. He's been having issues with that with Joe Burrow for some reason. Kansas City cannot seem to beat Cincinnati, but I think Cincinnati would have been able to fall short there and
I
send
want to
Kansas.
say that Mahomes is it's the Mahomes and then the defense. They know how to play him.
They do, but they just can't. They just don't have an answer with Cincinnati. But I think in this situation, they would have had an answer because Mahomes knows how to get to that AFC Championship game. I mean, that man has not gone
Well, then
no
why
less.
did he not go to the Super Bowl last year?
Well, the thing is, he can get to the championship game. He just can't seem to get to the Super Bowl. That's the thing. So I think in this scenario, he would have gone against Buffalo in the AFC Championship game once again.
Oh, man.
So that would have been a
You
heck of a
talking
game.
about Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Kansas City last
Yes,
year, beating them.
I know
I
it. I know it.
Kansas City's already a Super Bowl champion, so they know how to get to the Super Bowl.
I get it.
This guy named Joe Burrow came to the NFL and put the stop to Mahomes, baby.
I get it.
Okay, there's that big stop sign. That's
But
like Tom Brady pulling all the stop signs to Peyton Manning.
well,
All right,
but hey, Peyton Manning finally did beat him. Peyton Manning finally did beat Tom
yeah. How
Brady,
many
and
years later?
it doesn't matter.
It matters now.
Patrick,
It's still fresh.
that's okay. Patrick Mahomes will find a way of beating Burrow and getting back to the AFC Championship game
When
as
this
he's done
scenario
the last
happens,
4 or 5 years already,
mhm,
and play Buffalo. But again, we'll have no answer for Buffalo's tremendous defense and sending the Bills back to the Super Bowl after so many years. I think you were still in high school probably when the last time Buffalo Bills went to the Super Bowl. So
when the Buffalo Bills went to the Super Bowl,
yeah,
yeah, that was yeah in high school. Yeah, when they
yeah.
went 4 straight years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You went from elementary to high school. Yeah, I get it.
the Giants beat them. All right,
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
Redskins beat them, and then
Mm-hmm.
back to back Dallas Cowboys. And I actually went for the Bills on the last two.
I went for the
I
Bills in the last one. I went for the Bills in the last one.
I couldn't, I was,
Well, the thing
couldn't
is,
couldn't go for Dallas.
well,
Well, yeah,
I didn't have no problem with Dallas. I had a problem with the fans. That's
fair
why.
enough,
Yeah.
fair enough. All right, but after a while, you say to yourself, like, are they finally gonna do it? Are they gonna finally do it? And then they start fumbling the ball. I mean, anyways, we could carry. I can still remember all four games, right? And me praying, I was on top of my bed doing this, please, and then went right. I'm like, yeah, we won. But anyways, it's all good though. That's
Mhm.
Giants' second Super Bowl, excuse me, that we won. Right, the
Yeah.
first one they beat the Broncos in Super Bowl 21.
They
All right,
demolished them. They decimated the Broncos. Yeah.
yeah, but hey, flip over to the other side
Look,
because look, man, I think we almost got a little bit mirror image on the AFC, but there's a lot of differences over there on the far side in the NFC. Man, go ahead, tell me.
the NFC, I just think that the Eagles would have beaten the Giants last game of the season, lock up that number one seed with no problem. San Francisco, they're just the hottest team in the NFL all around. Would have locked up that number two seed. Had no problem with the Cardinals. Minnesota locking up the number three seed, and then we already know that Tampa Bay already locked in the number four seed last week, so that was no issues there. Sending the Cowboys to the number five seed. We knew the Giants locked up six, but I thought that Green Bay will beat the Lions Sunday Night Football, sending themselves into the playoffs, giving Rodgers one last hoorah to try to make himself a name for himself in the playoffs, calling himself Mr. MVP. But as you can see, I had them going to San Francisco and getting beat. Um, that defense, you're right. That San Francisco defense is just too ugly right now, and I don't see how Green Bay would have matched up in any way against that team. My Giants, I think they would have found a way of beating Minnesota second time around. I'm not convinced about Kirk Cousins. Um, we had him beat. A couple of mistakes here and there cost us the game. I think we will go into Minnesota and win that game, sending us to Philadelphia because I think Dallas will finally get over the hump and beat Tom Brady. Not the Bucks, but beat Tom Brady because they're winless against Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's washed up already, man.
I know it. I know he is. I
It
know he
was
is.
a one. It was really a one man army when he threw the ball to Evans for those
Mhm.
three touchdowns, and Carolina Panthers just fell on their backs. Like,
Yeah.
what in the world? Like they
Mhm.
didn't play. It's like, all right, Brady, go ahead, man, you got this.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I
but
mean,
I
sec-
like it how you and I still have similarities between the NFC Championship with San Francisco and the Eagles, and
yeah,
you got San Francisco in there.
yeah, because I don't see how the Cowboys are going to do anything. Dak Prescott throw a couple of interceptions. They'll make a couple of mistakes. They won't get past that defense. The Giants, I'm sorry to say, but with the inexperience of the playoffs with the team that they have, would not be able to get over that Eagles offense. So
Yo,
it
I
would just
wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings did beat the Giants, and it
yeah.
will be probably because we kept fumbling the ball or throwing interceptions. You
I just
know,
feel like the Giants are more comfortable against Minnesota than they would be with Philadelphia. That's
they just
just
don't got the speed to the secondary don't have enough speed to catch up to the Eagles.
no, I definitely not. I think that's why the
No.
Eagles would have won that game handily, easy.
Mhm.
And even though San Francisco will be traveling to Philadelphia, I just don't think that the Eagles would have had any answer for San Francisco. I just
Mm.
feel like Buffalo's defense will match evenly with the 49ers defense. Who's going to make the first mistake in the Super Bowl? And I think that it would have been Purdy if he was to play, if he was playing. I mean, if
Mhm.
Garoppolo plays, would he be fully ready for that Super Bowl? Either way, I think it would be Josh Allen who'll be more ready on the offensive side. It's just who's going to make less mistakes, defense versus defense. This could be a very low scoring game. And I just think Buffalo will squeak it out in 4 quarters over the San Francisco 49ers and win their first Super Bowl.
Them Buffalo Bills have not tasted the San Francisco 49ers, man.
You're sure right. I understand that.
I'm just
I
saying.
know.
I'm just saying.
And Chris Berman has always been saying the 49ers versus the Bills since I can remember as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on this one, we got two teams in the Super Bowl, but we are both deciding the opposite. And I
Yeah.
know I'm going against my preseason picks. I'm going against because I originally had the Bills winning it all. I really did believe that. However, with Von Miller getting hurt, there's a lot of injuries back then, okay? And leading up, and yeah, they still winning and everything, but when you need it most,
Yeah.
these are the playoffs, and you
Hmm.
need this, right? And if you got missing pieces, it's going to show.
Yeah. I get
Okay.
it.
I think this Super Bowl or this playoff is going to be hard. And you look at the Eagles, they got a young head coach. Okay. They're young. All right. They're still inexperienced. Yeah, they went to playoffs last year. Got it. Congratulations. But they still like they got all the pieces. They spent a lot on the offseason to make this happen. I just feel like the injuries already caught up to the Eagles. I don't think they're gonna be that strong as they were the first half of the season. They could lose, and like I said, anyone could lose at any given Sunday or any given weekend. But I'm just
And,
saying, like, I think I'm far reaching the Eagles make it to the NFC Championship.
with everything that we're all dealing with now, what happened Monday, all this can actually change. It just depends on the emotions of every individual, every
Hmm.
team. How they play their schemes, how they go into this physically, how they go into this mentally. We can see a
Hmm.
whole different scenario when it comes to this playoffs.
Absolutely. Let's move on to third down real quick because we have now a prediction to make for the national championship of college football. And dude, New Year's Eve turned into on New Year's Day to find out who was going to win between Georgia and Ohio State. One of the best games that I've seen, and Georgia ended up beating Ohio State. Previous to that, TCU upset Michigan. That messed up my bracket uh, because I had Georgia and Michigan, but now we got final two teams, Georgia and TCU. And I'm a big Georgia fan. I'll be biased right now. I'm actually rooting for Georgia. And the thing is that I'm not so sure if I'm ready to cover the spread on this game.
I know that was kind of surprising when I seen that. I mean, why are they not giving TCU any kind of luck? I mean, any kind of love is beyond me because they came in, I believe, unranked in the preseason, correct?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
this is the first year head coach in Sonny Dykes, and
Hmm.
all that they're doing, okay. Whether you want to say they were squeaking by in the Big 12 or barely winning their games, look, they've had us. I've been following the Big 12 because I'm in Big 12 country. They have been playing some really good football, and you got to give it to them, man. I mean, I would think that the spread would have been a little bit less than that, definitely.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm looking
Mhm.
at TCU's record and their schedule. Okay. Um, they haven't really played anyone outside their conference that would challenge them. Yes, they beat Oklahoma State, Kansas, Oklahoma, Kansas State, Texas.
Texas,
They beat Texas 17-10,
yeah,
right? They barely beat Baylor. Baylor was not that competitive this year, 29-28.
and that was
They
they barely won that
but
game.
they lost to Kansas State 31-28. Now Kansas State had all their starters against Alabama with all their starters, and they got demolished. They were destroyed in the first half, and they got worse in the second half. I do firm believe that with Kirby Smart, that boots the asses to that secondary because of what had happened against Ohio State. They're gonna wake up and be like, "Look, this is mine," and I do will take the 12 and a half. I think that Look, I understand. I'm not disrespecting TCU. They're a great team. They showed it. But in that game, Michigan really did beat themselves. Harbaugh beat himself because he made careless mistakes on the first drive, going for a touchdown instead of a field goal. This is the
Right.
playoffs. You went for it on fourth down to a team that has a high percentage of stopping teams in fourth down. They had the momentum. They could have kicked the field goal, and being down 3-0 for TCU, it would have changed the scenario. Okay. But instead, you gave light to TCU. Oh, if we could stop them here, we could run against them. Okay. Many mistakes on the way their play calling was favored TCU. That was not Michigan football. I'm sorry. This is not Michigan football. And I know that they had injuries, but no matter what, there was a reason why they beat Ohio State. They were rough and tough and wore them down to where they started running the ball at the end, and Ohio State had no answer. Okay. That's why Ohio State woke up, learned from that mistake, and they put it on Georgia. They did. And Ohio State deserved to beat Georgia in that game. Miraculously, that ball dropped at midnight, and all of a sudden, Georgia scored that winning touchdown. It reminded me the way it was with the Red Sox and the Yankees battled in the ALCS in 2004. That's what reminded me. David Ortiz up in the play. It's midnight. Bam. And all of a sudden, it goes our way. Right? The Red Sox win, and it went on for glory. I found like it was even more meaningful because it was year 2023 when the ball dropped, and then boom, Georgia scores. It was
And
awesome.
and even at the end, Ohio State had a chance to kick the game-winning field goal.
Right.
You
And
know,
well, I mean, look, that was kind of too far away from that kicker. I'm
hey,
sorry.
you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying?
But at the same time, I don't think that ball was held correctly
Yeah.
because that was a flop when they kicked it. I mean, I don't even know why they went for the field goal. Like it didn't have the projectile to go all the way up and straight to the field goal. It went wide left, too low, and even reach. So, but it is what it is, and I think Ohio State will learn from this for next season. But now, like I said, Georgia against TCU, I'm taking the spread, and I won't be surprised if Georgia wins by 24 points.
I I don't know honestly. I mean, if Georgia could not stop Ohio State's passing attack, which they gave like over or gave up over 300 yards, dude. I mean, if Quentin Johnson gets in there, I don't see how you're going to be able to stop him. The Georgia's passing defense is ranked 64th in the nation. That's not good against a TCU team who has a quarterback in Max Duggan who can throw that ball. You may be able to stop the run. Honestly, seeing how I think his name is Kendra Miller is kind of hurt and he's questionable. But dude, if it becomes an air attack game, I think this is going to be a closer game for Georgia. I'm not saying that TCU is going to win,
That air
but I
attack game is going to give that defense good enough to where Duggan's going to be throwing some interceptions. I'm telling you that right
I
now.
don't think he'll be put
I'm
too much
telling you
pressure.
that their receivers are not as fast as Ohio State wide receivers. Okay. And Harrison, the game changer on that game was Harrison Jr. was out with a concussion protocol. That was the difference maker on why Georgia ended up coming back and winning. Okay. But that's not going to happen on a national championship. Well, I think we were blessed to see two games in the semifinals that was legit proof. This is why we had the playoff because these were the top and the best four teams in college football.
And isn't Georgia's tight end kind of banged up? What's his name? Darnell Washington. Isn't he a little banged up from the game against Ohio State?
Yeah, but they got a couple of tight ends just as equal. I mean, they're heavier the tight ends, and that's the thing. They recruit very well, and they
Mm-hmm.
got depth. Georgia Bulldogs have depth, and that's something that TCU doesn't have, and Michigan doesn't come close to the depth of Georgia and Alabama. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say, you know what, Georgia got this.
I mean, I take none away. I got Georgia winning this game too, but I just think it's going to be a closer game than what everybody's anticipating or what the line is saying that it's going to be. I think they're gonna give this game. They're not going to just fold over. they're gonna give it 4 quarters. They're gonna give Georgia a fight.
Oh yeah, they're gonna play 4 quarters. Yeah, and then TC's gonna see why Georgia is the reigning, defending national champion, and they're gonna be the two-time national champion, no doubt. If Georgia would have had lost and they ended up playing Ohio State would have ran over them because they also have one of the best recruits in the nation. You see what I'm saying? So, and again, I don't want to disrespect TCU. They deserve it.
They got nothing to
Congratulations
lose
to
right
them.
now.
They got nothing to
They got
lose.
nothing to lose.
You're going to get a participation award. Thank you for coming. Now get lost. That's it.
Or you'd be talking about Tuesday morning how the purple in Fort Worth is the champions.
No, absolutely not. That would not happen. That would not happen.
And never say never.
No, you're right. No, I didn't say never. Did I say never? No,
Just
absolutely not. But it's time for the final whistle. It is time for the final whistle. And once again, thank you, Hector,
Yes,
for being on the show and everything else. But it is time to close out this show real quick. So away from me here. Listen, we I had a lot of things to say, and I know Joe had a lot of things to say when it comes to college football and the coaches, the way they were running things and everything else. But then enlightened with the news of Monday Night Football, that all things changed. And all the focus is on an NFL football player to have a safe recovery, to change the status from critical condition to stable condition, and hopefully soon be out and walk about with the family and friends, right? And we all pray to that. But where does it come around when we have to decide, are we going to play the game or we're just going to cancel everything? Okay. It's deepened. It's deepened. It's all into our hearts of what had happened, right? But not to sound mean or bashful or anything else like that. Look, we got time. We need time to heal. But then at the end of the day, we got to continue moving forward. And how can you move forward? Okay, we must play the game. It's a job for them. It's a business for others. And I'm not worried about the fans. The fans, they're gonna watch and they're gonna continue to watch any other sports. We still got basketball. We still got news from baseball. There's soccer. There's other sports that's happening. And I know this is football. And the football players, they sign up and they know what they were getting into. It's all right to take a time off. All right. It's a time to have a moment to self-reflect, to be there for your buddies and everything else, because that's that brotherhood. But at the end, the decision has to be made. What's going to happen now and what changes are going to happen for the NFL? The game's got to go on. Whether they play that extra game between Bengals and the Bills, that's a different story. But we got that Week 18. You got everything coming. And again, life has to go on. It is what it is. It's part of life. And if you're stuck on one thing for that one person, how can you surpass that? And now we don't know what's going on with the individual, right? We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going to happen next. But we cannot just wait on what's going to happen next. We got to continue forward. And if situation arises, we'll deal with it when it comes. And I want to ask and tell you guys, I'm going to ask, I just want to make a recommendation for everyone listening to this show. Okay. Let's be cautious of what we do. Okay. Let's pray for the families all affected to this. We'll keep on praying and be there for one another. Because at the end, it's not all about sports. It's about life. It's about being a human being. Okay. Thank you for watching All Four Downs podcast. I'm Ovi Muniz. Thank you, Hector, for being on the show, and for Joe Aguirre, which again, he's dealing with some medical issues himself, and he's back home being healthy, right? And I know that he will want us to continue for what he started, because this is a big project that we're doing, right? And I want everyone just self-reflect on one, be there for one another, give love, because now with love, we got another holiday coming called Martin Luther King, and he always says we win our battles with love. So thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. See you next week.